صلى الله عليك يا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله يا رحمة الله الواسعة ويا باب نجاة الأمة مظلوم يا غريب كربلاء السلام على النساء الحائرات. Salam be upon the bewildered woman. Assalamu ala al-ru'us al-mushalat. Salam be upon the heads that were raised on long spears. Assalamu ala al-khiyam al-khaliyat min al-Husayn wa ahlih. Salam be upon the empty tents. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. For the love of Lady Zainab, please recite aloud salawat. I would absolutely love to think that we have made considerable headway and achieved a great feat and accomplished the mission and come a long way with respect to restoring the position and the status of women in the society. I mean, if you make a comparison between the past and the present, you see a stark contrast between these two pictures. So up until the 1920s, women in this country, in the United States of America, country which is the champion of human rights in the world, and the leader of the free world, women did not have the right to vote. You know what it meant for women not being able to vote? That meant that policymakers, congressmen, and officials wouldn't take them seriously. Yes, they had rights according to the Constitution, but they were pretty much like foreigners in this country. They have some rights, but you don't try to please them. And usually with politicians, if they need you, they help you. When they don't need you because you can't vote for them, they don't help you. But this changed. Equal pay changed in the 1970s. But in the 21st century, we see women who are policymakers, congresswomen. We even witnessed a woman who became the presidential candidate, and she even won the popular vote. And that meant that the majority of the American people, they wanted her to become the president of the United States. And not only that, when it comes to protecting women's rights, in the 21st century, women are only one button away, one phone call away from seeking help from dozens of groups and dozens of organizations and law enforcement and the police to rescue them from abuse. Make a phone call and you have scores of people coming to save you. But the question is, have we accomplished the mission or not? Even if the presidential candidate who nominated herself to become the president had become the president of America, that wouldn't have changed the reality about the status of women in the society. It's like when the American people elected an African American to become the president. This position and this gesture, so to speak, is highly symbolic because it did not solve the problem of African Americans in this society. They are still discriminated against. They are still not treated fairly. This is a reality. Even when there was an African American president leading the country, but this did not mean that all the problems were solved. Now, this issue is a very controversial and contentious topic that has been discussed throughout history by people from all walks of life. Philosophers have talked about the status of women in the society. Scholars have talked about it. Religious guides have talked about it. Politicians have talked about it. And I'm not here tonight to argue and to debate this issue. I want to shed light on the status of women in the 21st century. In light of the Me Too campaign, when a woman came and tweeted about her experience with sexual abuse, this revealed a big crack in the civilization we're living in. Because when she shared her experience, you had thousands of women that came and used this hashtag, #MeToo, to speak about their experience with sexual abuse. And we're not talking about ordinary women here. We're talking about high-profile women. We're talking about women who are supposed to be role models for our women, for the girls in this society. We're talking about female politicians. We're talking about actresses. We're talking about women who hold senior positions in major companies that were subjected to abuse, sexual assault, bullying. They were degraded. One of them was the Australian foreign minister. And you know, to be the foreign minister of a country like Australia, and the reason why I cite these examples from Western countries, because these are free societies. Otherwise, the Middle East is a mess. So the foreign minister of Australia, the face of Australia to the world, she spoke about her experience in her workplace. We're talking about the cabinet. We're talking about the parliament, where the affairs of the state is discussed. When she shared her experience and how the male-dominated government and male-dominated society treated her, it's just outrageous how she was treated. For example, when she talked about bullying, she said, when I say something in the cabinet that pertains to the affairs of the society, no one takes me seriously. Why? Because I'm a woman. No one respects me. No one takes care of, cares about me. But when a man, a minister in the cabinet, says the same thing that I said, people will take him seriously, people will praise him, people will hail him. And with respect to sexual abuse, you had high-profile politicians, female politicians, that spoke about their experience and how they were abused in their workplace, in the government. And abused by whom? Ordinary people? No. We're talking about people who shape the culture of this society. People like Harvey Weinstein, he is one of the elitists in Hollywood. And you know what Hollywood does? Hollywood shapes the culture of this society. They're in control of the norms and the culture of the society. Someone like him, and anyone who wanted to climb the ladder of success, any woman that wants to become successful in her career, it had to go through him. And you all know what happened to him. And it's not just him. We're talking about prime ministers, presidents, who use their authority, their position, abuse power to abuse women. You had a president that said the only way to treat a woman does not deserve to be treated in a good way. You want to treat a woman? You have to treat her like a trash. And when this woman tweeted about her experience, you had people that talked about their experience, things that happened to them 20 years ago, 30 years ago. They spoke up. Not all of them spoke up, but some of them that spoke up were high-profile women. She was a translator and she was abused sexually by the president of a Western country. Now, the problem with this issue is that these people should be the guardian of women's rights. Presidents, prime ministers, people in Hollywood, the elitists that shape and try to promote the ideals of women's respect. But these same people abuse women. That speaks volumes about their opinions and their views when it comes to these issues. So if the guardian of these rights don't take these ideals seriously, what would you expect from the society? Women face enormous pressure in this society. They have to conform to unrealistic ideals. 40% of all women in Australia are clinically depressed and have anxiety. Why? Because they can't keep up with the expectations of the society. They have to be ever ready for Instagram. 87% of all women in the world, they constantly think about their weight. Especially women between 18 and 35. Because when they grow old, the focus will shift. But when they are young, all they think about is their weight and their image and how they look. And they have a lot of insecurities. You have girls at tender age, 8-year-old girls that feel insecure about their bodies. And this society, you have girls from the age of 11 to 13 that have real issues with respect to self-confidence and self-esteem. Why? Because of how they look. And 6 out of 10 of all girls, they lack the self-esteem to participate in school projects. Or even, they don't go to school because they don't feel comfortable attracting attention. They don't want to draw attention to how they look. 6 out of 10. And the people that do know these things, they understand that if a person, especially a child, they have issues with self-esteem, this holds them back from doing a lot of things in life. Self-confidence is very important. And because of what they look and because of what the society promotes, they lack the self-confidence. And this is how they suffer. And this is a major issue that women face in the society. And the major problem that humans suffer from in this society is that they don't want to yield to God's authority. They want to take the route that they like, that they desire. So they adopt the trial and error method. They take a route and then 80 years later, they realize that this route is the wrong route. This is why they do a major U-turn and then they try to rectify the damage. For example, and that's one of the ironies in trying to fix this problem, certain countries, they banned ultra-thin models from being advertised. Because what some companies do, they use these ultra-thin models. They are ultra-thin already. They use Photoshopped to make them look thinner. To make them look thinner. So certain countries, they ban these advertisements. And instead, they started, promoting the idea that, it doesn't really matter how you look. It doesn't really matter if you're obese or not, if you're overweight or not. And they started producing movies and even using ads and billboards showing women who are overweight so that women in the society can feel comfortable about how they look. And this approach is doomed to fail. Because you can't market something that is not captivating. What we need to do is shift the focus. Instead of focusing on the looks of the woman, we should focus on the intellect of the woman. I mean, isn't it sad that the girl goes to kindergarten, and then goes to primary school, and then goes to high school, and then goes to college, and then goes to university, and ends up studying and receiving education for 20 years, and after they graduate, they are judged based on how they look and not based on their accomplishment. If she looks good, then people respect her. If she doesn't look good, then people don't respect her. We as men, we can't begin to imagine what women go through in this society. I mean, all it takes for a man to get ready in the morning is perhaps 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 6 minutes. I know it's a bonus if a man looks handsome, but there is no focus on how handsome a man looks or what they need to do to, make themselves look good. But for women, sometimes it takes them 2 hours to get ready in the morning. From choosing the dress or the clothes that they have to wear, because they can't wear the same clothes twice, over it, or he can't wear it over and over again. This comes with a lot of baggage, financial baggage and all kinds of baggage. And then comes the makeup. This comes with a lot of financial baggage as well. They have to use the hair straightener. And every limb that they choose to expose, they need to make it presentable. The waxing, the shaving, and all these things that come with, exposing the cleavage so that they look attractive to men in the society. I saw this amazing interview with an Australian lady. She was an Australian lady who was born and raised in Australia. She converted to Islam and chose to wear the burqa. And we all know that maybe only 1% of all Muslim women, they choose to wear the burqa. They choose to wear it. You know how, not here to address these stereotypes, but there's this impression about Muslim women being forced to wear the hijab. The hijab is imposed by their parents, by their husbands. And I've never seen a woman who was forced to wear the hijab. To the contrary, I've met women who were forced not to wear the hijab. I met a woman a couple of years ago who wanted to wear the hijab, but because of all the Islamophobia and all the hate and all the dirty stares that they receive in the society and how challenging it is to be a Muslim who is and be vocal about your identity. I mean, we as men, we could conceal our identity. No one knows that we're Muslims, unless if you tell them what your name is, if you have a Muslim name. And people can change their names. But with Muslim women, wearing the hijab is being vocal about their identity. And the fact that they subscribe to this religion, with all the baggage that comes with it. So this lady, she chose to wear the burqa. The interviewer, who was another lady, an Australian woman, the journalist, so she asked her this question. She said, isn't it difficult for you to adopt this lifestyle? Because you were born and raised in Australia as an Australian, she was Christian, but then you converted to Islam. Now you're wearing the burqa. Isn't it difficult? Isn't it hard? Her response was astonishing. She said that I am now much more comfortable than before. She said, why? She said, I could be wearing my Mickey Mouse pajamas right now. It took me just 2 minutes to get ready to come for this interview. And the journalist, the woman, the interviewer, because she has to be presentable to appear on TV. You can't be below average in your looks to become a journalist. And it takes them few hours to get ready. And in the beginning, it's nice to look attractive, makes you feel good. But later on, it becomes dull, boring, difficult, hard. It's a daily chore. So when she said that it's, I'm so comfortable with my lifestyle now, what was the response of the journalist? She said, wow, that's heaven. She knows what she's saying. That's heaven. It takes me few hours. I mean, look at the way people need to, especially women in this society, the high heels. You know how difficult it is, how detrimental it is for the health of the woman. And when you ask experts about, the side effects or the health issues that come with high heels, what do they say? They say, yeah, beauty means pain. And the reason why you want to look good is to make you feel good, right? But when you're in pain, when it's miserable to wear tight clothes, when you're a size 14, usually the reality is people, they're size 12, 13, 14, 15, but you have to wear size 8. Tight clothes that are so uncomfortable just to be presentable. To do what? To look attractive to whom? Random guys in the street. Yes, when you look attractive to your husband, you have reciprocal responsibilities. But with the random guy outside, it doesn't make sense. In addition to all of that, there are other pressures. For example, pressures with respect to their safety. The majority of women, they don't feel safe walking back to their houses. The majority of women. In England alone, 18,000 of rape cases were reported. 18,000. 68% of all women said that they were sexually harassed in their lifetime. 68%. That's a staggering number. In America, it's even more than that. 21% of women in America, in the university, were sexually assaulted. And in Britain, 18,000 rape cases were reported, but only 1,500 were indicted. Why? Because they're too shy of reporting it, because of the dishonor that it brings, or you can't prove that it happened because there was no witness. So you have, the staggering number of how people are being sexually abused in the society and how they don't feel safe in the society, even in the 21st century. They don't feel safe. That's not to mention the abuse that they are subjected to online. If you are, especially the sisters, if they are active with social media, you don't need statistics to prove this point. All you need is to go to the comments on your Instagram profile or to your inbox to see how these vile, animalistic behaviors of men, they degrade women and they commodify women and they sexualize women. So this is the status of women in the society. This is what they're going through. Now, when I listened to some of the lectures some of the speeches that were given in the 1 Million Women March that took place in Washington, one thing that came to my mind was, you know what these people lack? These people lack an icon called Zainab ibnatu Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. There's a lot of talk about women empowerment. There's a lot of talk about the status of women. You know what this woman achieved? She single-handedly brought down an entire empire. It was unbelievable. On the day of Ashura, you know what happened to Lady Zainab? Lady Zainab lost 2 of her children on the day of Ashura. And you know what happens to a woman that loses a child? God forbid, na'udhu billah. But I've seen a woman who lost her son. You know what she used to do? She used to go to the cemetery every single day and spend like 8 hours sitting on the grave of her son. She would bring breakfast in the morning and say, "Son, I brought you breakfast. Get up and eat with me." She goes back home, she brings lunch. "Son, I brought you fish. You used to like fish, right? Get up and eat with me." In the evening, and if they allowed her to stay in the cemetery, she would stay there and sleep in the cemetery. She even once said that I talk to my son and he talks to me as well. I don't want to be insensitive, but I think she was imagining that her son was talking to her. I met another lady who lost her son in a car accident. She would wake up every morning with tears. She would go to sleep every night with tears. She doesn't have the appetite to eat. And this is not the case 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 days. This is the case for years. This has been the case for years. She just has to live with it. With Lady Zainab, she lost 2 of her children. One of them was 16, the other was perhaps 15. We're talking about the grandchildren of Amir al-Mu'mineen, the fruit of her eyes. They were both killed on the day of Ashura. Even though when Ali al-Akbar was killed, she came out of the tent, she cried and she wailed and she said, "Wa akhah, wa ibna akhah." I don't know whether to cry on my brother or the son of my brother. When Abbas cried, she came out of the tent and she said, "Wa day'atana ba'dak ya Aba al-Fadl." What a loss after you, O Aba al-Fadl. But when her 2 children were killed, she did not leave the tent because she didn't want to add anguish to the heart of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. She didn't say anything. She didn't make a mention of her loss. Not a mention. She never mentioned it. You know, during the walk, when they paraded them, she never made a mention of her children. And after the day of Ashura, she not only had to experience the death of her children, but 17 members of her family. 17 members. And she told Yazid, 17 members of my family from the Hashemites that were shining star, ma ala al-ardi minhum min mathil. They have no parallel in history. People like this were killed on the day of Ashura. And they were all killed together in one single day. So she was bereaved. She was tragedy stricken. Despite all of that, her crisis management was unbelievable. They killed Imam al-Hussein. They raided the tents. And her aim was to collect all the children and to take care of all the women, both emotionally and to protect them. And to protect Imam Zayn al-Abidin as well. They tried to kill Imam Zayn al-Abidin numerous times, but she was the one that protected him. Then she goes, she is taken to the city of Kufa. Over there, what Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad tried to achieve, because you know, there's this perception that women are weak, especially if you take advantage of their emotional side. You've killed her children, you've killed her brothers, and she is brought into a city as a captive, shackled with chains. And this city was the capital city, the stronghold of her father, who was once the emperor of the Muslim empire. There's a hadith that says, if someone had respect in the society, say for his wealth, for his social status, then he lost the status, he lost his wealth. Because he was respected before, respect him now, even if he lost his respect for any reason. Because of his previous respect, don't disrespect him. So Lady Zainab was once a princess in the city. Now she's brought as a captive inside that city, paraded so people make fun of her. People would hurl stones at Lady Zainab. People would make fun of Lady Zainab. All these things were added, should add anguish to Lady Zainab and break Lady Zainab. She was brought into the General Assembly of Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad. Ubaydullah, the arrogant tyrant, was sitting on his throne while the head of Imam al-Hussein was inside the bucket. And he had a stick in his hand. He would play with the head of Imam al-Hussein in front of Lady Zainab. He realized that the children are surrounding Lady Zainab, but he didn't know who Lady Zainab was. So he said with utmost arrogance, "Who are you?" She didn't respond. He said, "I repeat, identify yourself. Who are you?" She didn't respond. He said, "Who are you?" She didn't respond. She ignored him. A man was there who noticed that this is Lady Zainab. Said to Ubaydullah that this is Zainab, the son of Ali. So he laughed. He said, كيف رأيت صنع الله بك? So, what do you think of how God treated you? So he's got all the confidence in the world. He's become victorious. He won in this war. He butchered Imam al-Hussein. And he's talking to a woman. Suddenly Lady Zainab got up. She said, إِنْهُمْ إِلَّا قَوْمٌ. These people that you killed were a group of men that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala selected. He chose them. بَرَزُوا إِلَى مَضَاجِعِهِمْ. God had prescribed martyrdom upon them. وَسَيَجْمَعَ اللَّهِ. And on the day of judgment they will be brought and you will die in no time. You think that this authority, this position that you hold will stay forever? No, that's not going to happen. You will die. And you will be joined with them on the day of judgment. وَسَتَعْلَمْ لِمَنِ الْفَلَجُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ يَبْنَ مَرْجَانَ. And you will know on that day who is the real winner, O son of Marjan. People used to call him O Amir. The first response of Lady Zainab was مَا رَأَيْتُ إِلَّا جَمِيلًا. He thought that Lady Zainab doesn't have the confidence and he's taking advantage of that. But Lady Zainab showed that the confidence that she has is much more than his confidence, even when he is sitting on his throne. And then she reminded all the people that were sitting there, you are the son of Marjana, the wicked woman who used to make herself available for random guys in the streets. You are the son of Marjana. He was infuriated. How could you say something like that to me? And Ubaydullah would kill people for no reason. It was so easy for him to kill Lady Zainab. But look at the confidence that Lady Zainab had. So he got up and he took the lash or the whip of one of his guards and he went to lash Lady Zainab when one man said to him, she is a woman. And women are not held accountable for what they say. So he calmed down. And then Lady Zainab is taken to Sham. Sham, she is about to meet the emperor, Yazid ibn Muawiyah. Again, Yazid ibn Muawiyah wanted to further humiliate Zainab. The head of Imam al-Hussein was inside the bucket and he was drinking alcohol. So he was saying that, look, all the red lines of your religion, I transgress these red lines. Your religion, your God, your Lord. And he was reciting a poem. You know what he was saying? He said that if my ancestors who were killed in the battle of Uhud when they fought against the Prophet and in the battle of Badr were here to see my achievement, they would praise me and say, وَقَالُوا يَا يَزِيد لَا تَشَلْ. That's when Lady Zainab got up. And she recited the verse, ثم كان عاقبة الذين أساءوا السوء أن كذبوا بآيات الله. And those people that sin and sin and sin, eventually, you know what happens to them? They become disbelievers. They lose their faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is a phenomenon that we're seeing with our own eyes in front of us, before us. Someone who is vocal about his disbelief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then what did Zainab tell Yazid? She said to him, Ya adu Allah wa ibn aduweh. O enemy of God, the son of the enemy of God. Imagine the circumstances. Sitting in the assembly of Yazid, the victorious tyrant, the strongest empire that included 50 of our countries today. He's the ultimate ruler, and he's a despot that doesn't believe in God, doesn't believe in the Prophet, has no respect for his progeny, and he wants to take revenge from the Prophet by killing his progeny. She said, O enemy of God, the son of God's enemy, أمن العدل يا ابن الطلقاء تخديرك حرائرك وسوقك بنات رسول الله سبايا يتصفح وجوههن القريب والبعيد. Is this justice, O son of the freed ones? She reminded everyone that when the Prophet opened Mecca, conquered Mecca, what did he do to your grandfather Abu Sufyan? Abu Sufyan was the staunch enemy of the Prophet. He was the one that galvanized the armies to attack the Prophet. He was the one responsible for killing the Prophet's dearest uncle, and the Prophet's cousin, and the Prophet's relatives, and the Prophet's companions. Abu Sufyan and your father Muawiyah. What did the Prophet do? He said, اذهبوا فأنتم الطلقاء. You could all go, you are free to leave. أمن العدل, is this justice, O son of the freed ones, that your wife, your women folk, they have a cover, but the daughters of Rasulullah do not have cover, and we have to use our arms to shield our faces, to cover our faces. Brothers and sisters, and especially the sisters, you know, Lady Zainab, the confidence that she had, the strength that she had, stemmed from her faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Stemmed from her trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because when Imam al-Hussein, he was about to go to the battlefield, when he bade farewell with Lady Zainab, he said, اعلموا أن الله حافظكن. God will protect you. Don't worry. So she had utmost faith and trust and reliance in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is why she had no fear. The hadith says, "Man tawakkala ala Allah kana ashja' an-nas." Whoever has reliance on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will have a lot of courage to face all the challenges in the world. And this world is filled with challenges. If you don't have the backing, anything might break you. But if you have the backing of Lady Zainab, you could face all these challenges, overcome all these pressures, and say, مَا رَأَيْتُ إِلَّا جَمِيلًا. What I saw on the day of Ashura was sheer beauty. And number two, her chastity. If a woman is immodest, this is the first sign of weakness, because you are yielding to the animalistic desire of men, and this is what weakens women. But if you are chaste, this will give you power. This will empower you, because you will be at the same wavelength as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You will be in terms with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, on the same page as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah will empower you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you strength, and this will be reflected on your children as well. I've said this before. I say when you talk to the youth, when you talk to the girls, and try to convince them to be more chaste about, you know, how they observe their hijab, it's a bit difficult, especially in this day and age, where there's peer pressure, there's a lot of pressure mounting on especially young girls. But if you tell them this, with chastity, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you good children. And every mother and every woman wants to have good children, God-fearing sons and daughters. And you know what's the key to having a good child? It's in the Quran. وَمَرْيَمَ ابْنَةَ عِمْرَانَ. And Maryam, the son of Imran, who guarded her chastity, فَنَفَخْنَا فِيهَا مِن رُوحِنَا. Because of her chastity, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave her Jesus. And this is why Allah, in numerous verses, He gives all the credit to Maryam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, another verse says, وَلَقَدْ كَانَ ابْنَ مَرْيَمْ وَأُمَّهُ آيَةٌ. The son of Maryam, Jesus, the son of Maryam, and his mother were two signs from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So He wants to talk about Jesus, but He doesn't mention Him by name. He says the son of Maryam and his mother, as if He wants to give credit. The reason why He is so holy, the reason why He is so special, is because of His mother. This is why you might find good people that have bad fathers, but you would never find a good person with a bad mother, a wicked mother, a mother that had no chastity. With chastity, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bless the children. Of course, we have many levels of chastity. The obligatory level is to observe your hijab according to the teachings of the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. But the less you deal with men, the better it is when it comes to chastity, according to Fatima al-Zahra alayha salam. Now we go to Ashura. We only have 5 minutes left. The aftermath of the martyrdom of Imam al-Hussein wasn't any less horrific than Ashura itself. A new chapter started. The ordeal of Lady Zainab started with the martyrdom of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. Lady Sukaina says that I was standing by the entrance of the tent when my father was killed, and I didn't know what will befall us. Will these people kill us? Because these people are vicious. They could kill us. Because one of them, he made an announcement. He said, لا تبقوا لأهل هذا البيت من باقية. Wipe out every trace of this progeny. Sever their lineage. Kill all their children. So I was waiting by the entrance of the tent, waiting to see what will unfold, what will happen, when one man said, أحرقوا بيوت الظالمين. Set their tents ablaze. And you know, fire instigates a lot of fear in the hearts of the children. If God forbid, now a corner of this hall catches fire, what you will hear is the screams and the yellings of the children. Very dreadful, especially for children. He said, أحرقوا بيوت الظالمين. When men with horses, armed men, they raided the tent and they set the tent ablaze. Lady Zainab comes to Imam Zain al-Abidin. She says, يا ابن أخي يا ثمالة الماضين. What should we do? The Imam said to her, عم عليكن بالفرار. You should run for your lives. To the children, all the women, they started to run. Run for their life. Otherwise they could get killed. Some say 15 children were killed on that day. In the stampede, they stomped over them with horses. And some say 50 children were killed when they raided the tents. عَمَّا عَلَيْكُنَّ بِالْفِرَارِ. Run for your lives. When they raided the tents, they began looting the possessions. Lady Ruqayya was running. A man came and he was chasing this little 3-year-old girl of Hussein alayhi salam. They were competing on who to loot what. So this man came and he looked at the earring of Ruqayya. He wouldn't remove the earring from the ears of Ruqayya. He would pull the earring from the ears of Ruqayya, ripping her ears. Lady Sukaina says that I saw one of the girls the clothes that she was wearing caught fire. So she was running. A man was chasing after her, Hamid ibn Muslim, who wanted to extinguish the fire. She looked at him. She says, what do you want to do? Do you want to kill me? He said, no, I don't want to kill you. I want to extinguish the fire. He was the reporter in Ashura. She said, have you recited the Quran? He says, yes, I recite the Quran. She said, have you stumbled upon the verse that says, وَأَمَّا الْيَتِيمَ فَلَا تَقْهَرْ? Have you recited the verse that says, and do not upset the orphan? I said, yes, I've recited the verse. She said, وَنَحْنُ أَيْتَامُ رَسُولِ اللَّهِ. We are now the orphans of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Lady Zainab said that after the martyrdom of Hussein, all of a sudden I heard voices, noises coming from the battlefield. So she came to Imam Zayn al-Abidin. She said to him, oh nephew Zayn al-Abidin, as if these people are throwing jars. I can hear the noise of jars being broken. She said, Amma, these are not the sound of jars. These are the sound of the bones and the ribs of my father and my uncles being broken because they stomped over them with horses. How? After their martyrdom, Umar ibn Sa'd came and he said, I'm looking for volunteers to stomp over the bodies with horses. And as I mentioned, one night Imam al-Hussein had placed all the corpses of the martyrs in one tent and the corpses of the Hashemites in another tent. So they brought all the corpses, scattered them on the earth, and then 10 men came who said that we have sharpened the shoes of the horses. They stomped over the bodies with the horses. Did it end there? No, because they had received orders from Ubaidullah saying, stomp over the faces and the backs of the bodies. So they flipped them over and then they stomped over the backs with the horses. Eventually, they brought water to the tent. They gave Zainab a container filled with water. Zainab gives the container to Rubab. Rubab gives it to Kulthum. Kulthum gives it to Sukayna. Sukayna gives it to the youngest child, a daughter of Imam al-Hussein. They gave her the container. They thought because she was very thirsty, she has to drink from the water, but she takes the container and she runs into the battlefield. She goes inside the battlefield. She says, where's my father Hussein? They told her that your father is gone. She said, because I heard him say that I am thirsty. When she heard that her father is gone, she threw the container on the ground, spilling all the water. But eventually in the evening, they all drank water. Lady Zainab is taking care of all the children, of all the women, when suddenly she realized that Rubab is not there, the mother of Ali al-Asghar. She called her, Rubab, where are you? Rubab wouldn't answer her. She got worried. She goes out. She sees one of the guards. She says to him that, have you seen a woman roaming around in the battlefield? He said, yes, I saw a woman that went to the bodies. So she goes and she sees Rubab. She says, Ya Rubab, Ya Rubab, is this you? She said, Sayyidati, yes, this is me, my mistress. Oh, Zainab. She says, what brings you out in the middle of the night? These people are dangerous. She said, Zainab, Zainab, I drank water and now I have milk. I want to nurse my child, Ali al-Asghar. I miss him, so I'm going through the bodies. I want to find his body. Oh, Lady Zainab, I don't know why Harmala has this enmity towards me. What did I do to Harmala, oh Lady Zainab? Andam kedar daryay khun Zainab shnaka. آن دم که در دریای خون زینب شنا کرد لب را به رگ‌های برید دیده آشنا کرد، گفت ای برادر قربان رویت، بنما اجازه بوسم گلویت. هرگز کسی چون من تن بی سر نبوسید. بوسیدم آن جایی که پیغمبر نبوسید، حیدر نبوسید، زهرا نبوسید، حتی نسیم صحرا نبوسید. امشب چرا این خواهر محزون و خسته تا نیم شب خوانده نمازش را شکسته؟ گلهای زهرا گردید پر پر، خاموش اینجا گردید اصغر. این سر که ریزد از لبش شهد حلاوت، فردا به روی نی کند قرآن تلاوت. گفت ای برادر قربان رویت، بنما اجازه بوسم گلویت. ای حسین جانم حسین، حسین. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه. With your loudest voices. وفي كل وليا وقائدا ودليلا حتى